Night of the Creeps. What just happened? Okay, so day one of 2023's Halloween marathon is Night of the Creeps. It's a pretty popular 80s horror movie about aliens and zombies. It's old, so I'ma mostly spoil the whole thing. The movie starts off with aliens chasing each other on a ship. One of them has a special tube that he would rather ditch into the vacuous void of space before letting his wrinkled penis fellow aliens get their hands on it. I mean, with a body like that, it doesn't surprise me that they don't believe in clothes. Ain't nothing to hide. It is as bad as you might think it is. The object lands on Earth in the 60s. How do I know it's the 60s? Well, not only do they tell us in text on the screen, but the movie is now in black and white. You know, to make really sure you get the time period.
Obviously.
So the tube lands on Earth and some worms shoot out and infect the face of some jock, who cares? But at the same time, an axe murderer is on the loose and a cop finds his ex become his latest victim. We then jump to the 80s and a couple of dorks are talking about getting laid in college. So far, this 80s movie is very 80s. And I love it. They want to join a frat to impress a girl. Well, the main guy, Chris, wants to join, and his friend JC wants to help the guy out. But in order to join, they have to steal a body from the morgue and put it in front of this rival frat house.
Piece of cake.
The kids go, and for some reason, the local hospital is keeping the jock from the 60s frozen and in a lab with zero protection in cryosleep. The kids are like, well, beggars can't be choosers, and just take him. He quickly wakes up, so the kids freak the fuck out and bounce. The doc comes into the room and the zombie's head explodes with worms and infects him. And from here on out, that's the movie. The worms infect a body, they get their fill of the brains, and then multiply a few times, then leave the body to rinse and repeat. Which all culminates with an entire bus of kids getting infected. Fucking awesome. Then the bus of kids attack a sorority house, which they were actually on their way to for a dance, and we get this famous line.
Oh, I got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
I am very sure I've heard this line before, so it was nice to finally see the movie that it's from. Our main guy Chris and his crush Cynthia tag team the worst Army of the Dead ever by shooting them in the face to release the worms and then setting the body on fire.
I hate to be a buzzkill.
So, like, why are they doing it this way? Wouldn't setting the body on fire be sufficient enough to just cook the worms from the outside? And yeah, they do most all of this pretty easy. These things are like Walking Dead, easy to kill, but I'll give the movie credit that the people who were infected were turned because they were either surprised or overwhelmed, or they were already down before the worms infected them. Unlike in The Walking Dead, where everyone is just shit at surviving the apocalypse.
At what point do I fall on the ground and cower like a child?
The movie ends with the worms all gathered up in the basement of a sorority house because one of the students kept a ton of human brains there for a project, and our head detective Ray Cameron, played by the legendary Tom Atkins, sacrifices himself to blow it all up. Afterwards, a few worms do make it out and head to a local cemetery, and we see a fucking Death Star-sized spaceship hovering over it. Not like any of the world governments noticed or anything, and the movie ends on that cliffhanger that didn't amount to anything, because not only did this movie not get a sequel, but in recent horror movie news, there was a rumor of it getting a sequel, and that shit was shot down quick, fast, and in a hurry. But don't worry, there's like 15 Friday the 13th movies, so priorities. So that was Night of the Creeps. How was it? It's a pretty good 80s horror movie, and it had some surprisingly good characters, like the best friend. He actually made me laugh a bit, and he may have been a bit annoying at times, but he helped his friend get the girl. Gives him the hard truth when our main guy just couldn't stop being a whiny pussy, and I actually felt pretty sad when we heard his tape of his warning and his eventual death. Also, there was a nice buildup of the cop dealing with his personal trauma, and the way the aliens leave the bodies reminded him of his past, which eventually came back to haunt him. There is still plenty to poke fun and laugh at. It's not quite in the territory of a so bad it's good, it's just fun, dumb 80s. And I would recommend giving this movie a watch for this Halloween season. And yeah, that was another short review. Get used to them, because that's how all of my reviews are going to be for the month. Keep it spooky until I come back to talk about Basket Case.